Hey EDUC 1300 students, I'm here to talk with you a little bit about Chapter 7, Establishing Direction in Your Life. Now you have a discussion post for this chapter. You also have a journal entry, and the journal entry is what I want to focus on most for this video. If you've got your laptop with you, open it up and let's go to Blackboard. I have Blackboard logged in two different ways here just to save time as I talk with you. I'm going to start here because I want to walk through how you're going to find this particular journal question. Most of you already know that, but let's review just to make sure. You can get to the journal two different ways. The first way is to log into Blackboard. You can come over here to the gray column menu, scroll down to My Journal, and then we're going to go to this one, Establishing Direction in Your Life. That's one way to get to the journal. The other way is to come over to My Assignments, and you're going to click on the journal, on the unit that we are currently studying. You can tell what's in the unit folder, like this is Unit 1. You can tell what's inside Unit 1's folder by reading what's on the outside of Unit 1's folder. And there it is, Establishing Direction in Your Life, discussion board posts, and journal entries. So we know we want to go inside Unit 1. When you get there, scroll all the way down until you get to the journal entry instructions and then the journal prompts. So we're going to click on this one because that's the one we're focusing on. The second thing I want to emphasize is how you get to your textbook. Most of you already know that as well, but I still want to review just in case. Come back over here to this menu, and if you haven't figured this out by now, this menu tells you everywhere you need to go. It's pretty handy. So we're going to check on My Textbook. Click on that, I should have said. You're going to come up with a page like this. And you will scoot on down here to Learning Materials Included ebook. Click on that. Your book should open up. Can't emphasize to you enough that you should not have to put in a redeem code. Now I know that this screen looks like it's waiting for you to put one in. I want you to ignore that because you're going to come over to this green bar that says Start Reading. Click on that, and after a few seconds, your book is going to open up. This one has opened up to Chapter 7 because that's where we are. Let me pause to say that if you are unsuccessful opening your textbook as easily as I did just here, please let me know as soon as possible. Do not suffer in silence. Let's look at the journal question that you need to respond to. The journal question is going to ask you about your goals. Specifically, you need to be picking out your one outcome goal. Now, perhaps you have more than one outcome goal, and that's wonderful. But for this assignment, I want you to choose your one main outcome goal. Maybe that outcome goal is to graduate with your associate's degree from Dallas College. Maybe your outcome goal is to graduate with a bachelor's degree from a 4-year university. There's a difference between outcome goals and process goals. In your textbook online, on page 125, if you can see where my arrow is circling, I'm on page 125, and here we have the definition of outcome versus process goals. This is an example. I will earn a 3.5 GPA by the end of the semester. For this person, the outcome goal is the main thing for right now. Up here, we have a definition. Outcome goals are those goals that you set to achieve for a final product, such as a final grade, a certain GPA, or graduation. Process goals, on the other hand, are the things that you're going to reach, the goals you're going to reach that allow you to reach that outcome goal. So this next sentence here talks about that. Process goals are usually the strategies involved to reach an outcome goal. They're little goals that get you to the bigger goal. And what I've highlighted here is the example. So we've already said that I will earn a 3.5 GPA by the end of this semester. This is that person's outcome goal. That's their final product. In order to get to that final product, the 3.5 GPA, this person has set some process goals, and they are: I will go to the campus tutoring center to work on my statistics homework 2 days a week, each week, for at least 1 hour each visit for the entire semester, so I can earn at least a B in this course. That is a strategy for meeting that outcome goal. For your journal entry, you need to determine an outcome goal before you begin that assignment. So let's look at this assignment. Your responses must reflect that you have used the text, specifically Chapter 7, to respond to these questions. This means that your answers must include terminology used according to the way in which this chapter teaches us about goals, action plans, strategies. So what do I mean by that? I mean, I need to see evidence that you actually read the chapter on SMART goals, or at least that portion of the chapter on SMART goals, before you jump in to answer these questions. And I've given you a little help here. I have put the page numbers next to the particular questions where some of those answers can be found. So before you jump in to answer the question, go and read that passage again to get a good understanding of the meaning of the terminology in this particular assignment. So let's look at number 1. What is your outcome goal? And again, I said, see page 125 so that you can make sure you have a good understanding of outcome goals. Well, we just visited that. That's here. So you can go back and visit that before you determine to answer that question. The next question in number 1 says, is this goal SMART? Is it measurable? Let me start over again. Is it specific? Is it measurable, achievable, realistic? And does it include a time frame for completing the goal? You'll need to explain why you believe your goal meets these criteria: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and it includes a time frame. You can use page 127 in our online text to help you answer that question. So here we are on page 127. This is the section on SMART goals that you will need to read. Here are the words that are representing each letter in the word SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely. Most importantly, underneath that graphic, here is the explanation of what specific means, of what measurable means, of what achievable means, realistic, and the time frame. It is so important that you read this section before you answer that part of the journal question. So let's look at this a little more carefully. And I know you can read, you don't need me to read this to you, but I'm doing this video because I want to point out the really important pieces that you need to pay attention to when you do this particular journal question. This says, write down your goal in specific terms so that you will know when you achieve it or not. Explicitly state how you will accomplish the goal. In other words, write clearly what has to change for you to achieve that goal. I wonder where they got that information, what has to change for you to achieve that goal. Well, this is something that would let me know whether or not you were reading before you answered that journal question. Remember back up here on page 126, these are things that you need to consider when trying to reach your goal? What kinds of things or activities do you need to increase in order to reach your goal? What do you need to decrease? What do you need to maintain? What do you need to start? And what do you need to stop? What problems do you need to solve? So let's say, for instance, I'm going to lose 15 pounds. All right? That's my outcome goal. I want to lose 15 pounds. I don't want to lose 15 pounds, but it's just an example. What do I need to increase? I probably need to increase my intake of green vegetables, for example. What do I need to decrease? In order to reach my outcome goal of losing 15 pounds, I probably need to decrease the number of cupcakes I eat each day. What do I need to maintain? I need to maintain some consistency with my times that I eat during the day. So I need to eat breakfast every day somewhere around 7 o'clock. I need to eat lunch somewhere between 11 and 2. I need to eat dinner a reasonable amount of time before I go to bed. I need to maintain that schedule. What do I need to start? I probably need to start looking at how many calories I take in every day when I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. These are just examples, everyone. But it shows how I am considering, when I set my outcome goal, I'm considering the changes in my actions that need to take place. What needs to increase, what needs to decrease, what needs to maintain, and so forth. So back here on page 127, when I am looking at what is specific about my SMART goal, in my statement, when I explain, I'm going to say what has to change in order for me to reach that goal. And that's what you are going to do to demonstrate that you have read the chapter and understood those concepts when you answer this question about your goal. Measurable is very important. I love the example they gave here. The characteristic measurable allows you to know when you have achieved your goal, when you have achieved your goal. So if you say, I want to be a good student, that's not measurable. There's no way to measure that really. I want to graduate with honors, that is a GPA above 3.5. Now that is measurable. We can actually look at something to determine whether or not you've met that goal. You can't really look at very much specific to determine if you're going to be a good student. Good is one of those words that can be pretty relative depending on what you're talking about. But if you said, I want to be an honor student with a GPA of 3.5, that is measurable. What is measurable about the goal you have chosen for yourself? That's what you need to put on the section that is measurable, or that is what you need to include as you explain why your goal is SMART. Achievable and realistic. Now, achievable has everything to do with whether or not you believe you can do it. This is gusto. This is guts. This is determination. Do you have that? Do you know in your heart of hearts that the goal you have selected is indeed achievable? Do you have the self-confidence to say, absolutely, I can do this? That's what you need in order for this goal to be achievable. This probably is one of the easier statements you'll make about your goal because it's all about you and what you believe. Realistic? Let's take the reality check. What kinds of things are going on in your life that will verify for you that the goal you've selected is realistic? External validation, reality check, is the means to assess whether a goal is realistic. And I'm going to say, I venture out there to say that whatever goals you're writing about yourself for this project, for this assignment, I imagine that they actually are realistic. You've thought about them before. These are not brand new things that you've just determined for this particular assignment. Whatever your goal is that you selected, you want this. So more than likely, yes, this is realistic. Write a statement to explain why you believe that is so. The T in the SMART goal format stands for time frame. This paragraph says, as you write your goal statement and design how you will reach that goal, include specific dates for completing each step that you have planned. As you monitor your progress, you may need to adjust due dates, kind of like that calendar we did, the weekly planner. So you write down when you're going to meet various steps of that goal of yours. Only you're going to expand it a little bit. So if your goal, your outcome goal, is to get your associate's degree here at Dallas College, then there are some milestone places that you need to mark as time frame segments. So what are you going to do the first semester? Are you going to take 12 hours? Are you going to take 18 hours? What time frame are you going to set to meet these different places, meet these different milestones that will get you to your goal? That's what time frame is all about. So on that first question for your journal entry, they ask you, is your goal SMART? You need to specifically address each one of these characteristics of the SMART goal when you answer that question. The next piece of this assignment talks about your action statement. Did I create? I've got to correct that. Look at that. Did I create an action statement that increases, decreases, maintains, starts, or stops, or problem solves a behavior? Explain. Where would you find that? Let's look at page 128. Here we are. Translating goals into an action plan. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I won't go through all of this, but based upon how we handled the SMART goal in the previous question, you get the picture. You need to read before you answer that question about your action statement, before you write your action statement. The question specifically asks, what is your action statement? And did you address what you plan to change in your behavior in order to reach that statement? The next question asks, what are the strategies and activities for reaching this goal? And why are these the best strategies? Again, you're going to go back to page 128. Look at this, strategies and activities. Read this section, and the answer that you put must reflect that you considered this information in your response. What, if any, materials do I need to complete the strategies and reach the goal? Again, that's on page 128. Consult that before you respond. Based on the information above, how valuable is your goal to you? What evidence supports your answer to this question? Explain your response. Again, go back to page 128, the price tag section, to guide your response. Let's go back and look at that. Here we are. Here is the price tag paragraph. Read that. In other words, what are you willing to give up? What is so valuable to you about the goal you've set that you're willing to pay a particular cost? The sixth question asks you, what is your statement of rewards and punishments? Now, this is like a self-contract for you. Let's go look in our book again. I did not put a page number there, but it's still on page 128. Let's go check it out. There it is, rewards and punishments. So we know that when we set goals for ourselves, sometimes we backslide. Let's take that example I gave about losing weight, losing 15 pounds. Probably along my journey of losing 15 pounds, even though I said I was going to decrease the number of cupcakes I eat in a day, I might sneak a cupcake. And if I do that, I need to have already in place a contract with myself where I have set out some rewards if I do really well and I don't eat a cupcake, and some punishments for myself if I slip and I do eat the cupcake. Now, I'm not talking about being terrible to yourself or setting some terrible thing to happen to you if you don't meet some portion of your goal. But it's called responsibility and being accountable to yourself for doing well or for backsliding. So read this paragraph to determine what explanation there is for rewards and punishments and write your statement accordingly. The last two questions don't really have page numbers to go with them. However, if you read the entire chapter, you glean from that, or you gather from that chapter, ways in which you can answer number 7 and number 8 most appropriately. How much time, energy, effort, and money have you invested to meet this goal? You know, when you set goals to meet, those goals are not easy to achieve. If it's anything valuable or worth you going for, it's not going to be a piece of cake to get there. You're going to have to sacrifice something. You're going to have to work. There's going to be some level of pain involved. Not physical pain, but maybe sometimes you don't get enough sleep. Maybe sometimes you fail a test. There's some type of challenge that you can expect along the way. If you don't have a challenge in reading a significant goal, it really isn't that significant. So what is it that you're willing to give up? What is the level of energy that you're willing to expend in order to reach this goal? That's what you need to think about. In other words, it says here, does the overall cost of your time, energy, effort, and money align with the value you have placed on that goal? Should you invest more or less of your time, energy, effort, money to reach that goal? And explain your response. And finally, what is your specific timeline for activities and what is the timeline for reaching the goal? Is this timeline realistic? Why or why not? And actually here, you're expanding a little bit on that time issue that you addressed a little bit earlier. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the journal question, journal response that you are going to provide as this relates to your goals. Take your time on this assignment. Be honest with yourself. Be realistic about your responses. Don't hurry through this. There's one class, and this may not be your class, but there's one class, as I began to read some of these, I could tell very easily that many students didn't bother to look at the chapter before they responded to these questions, and I've asked them to redo this assignment. If you're starting out on this assignment for the first time, do it right the first time. Read, comprehend, be honest, and answer these questions according to what you're learning in Chapter 7. That's all for this video, everybody. I will see you for the next one. Bye.